The glass met his lips, but Malik barely tasted the wine. Up close like this, it felt different than the cafe. That had been accidental, raw, unprepared. This was intentional, chosen, which somehow made every second heavier. Jasmine set her glass down first, tilting her head slightly as she looked at him.
You clean up nice?
She said, a small smirk tugging at her lips. Malik glanced down at his turtleneck.
This old thing? Careful, this is peak fashion where I come from.
She laughed softly, shaking her head.
You always had that dry humor. I used to think you were being serious half the time.
I usually was.
Is that so?
There was a rhythm returning, familiar, almost muscle memory. It slipped in between them naturally, like it had just been waiting for permission. Everyone, please don't forget to like and subscribe. A waiter passed, the low hum of conversations and clinking silverware filling the space around them. His gaze meeting with theirs. Outside the window, the city stretched endlessly, lights blinking like distant signals. Jasmine ran her fingers lightly across her uniform.
Sorry about this. I didn't want to cancel. Work's just been a lot.
Malik nodded.
You don't strike me as someone who cancels.
She gave him a look.
You'd be surprised what life forces you to do.
He studied her for a moment, then leaned back slightly.
What do you do now?
She hesitated, fingers brushing lightly against the edge of her glass.
A
small, almost embarrassed smile flickered across her face as her eyes dropped for a second.
I work here, actually.
Malik blinked.
Here?
She nodded, a little quicker than necessary, like she wanted to get it out before she could rethink it.
Yeah, I'm a server.
She let out a soft breath, shoulders lifting in a half shrug.
It's not exactly what I planned, but it pays the bills.
Her voice trailed off as she tucked a loose strand near her bun. Malik leaned back slightly, something clicking into place. He glanced around. Really looked this time. The matching blouses, the black skirts, the subtle uniformity in how the staff moved between tables.
I was wondering why you were dressed like the staff.
Jasmine let out a quiet, nervous laugh, her fingers curling together on the table.
Yeah, I figured you might notice.
And why every server in here keeps looking over at us.
Malik added, lowering his voice just a bit. Her eyes widened for half a second before she exhaled through a small smile, equal parts shy and resigned.
That would be because I told exactly one person I was meeting you, and now the entire staff somehow knows.
Malik's gaze flicked briefly to a nearby table, where a waiter quickly looked away. He smirked faintly.
Word travels fast.
Too fast.
She muttered, ducking her head slightly.
And Caleb?
Her expression softened instantly.
He's everything.
No hesitation, no performance, just fact. Malik nodded once, quietly taking that in.
I had him young.
She continued, almost preemptively.
Things didn't really go the way I thought they would.
There was more behind that sentence, but she didn't open the door fully. Malik didn't push. Instead, he said,
You seem like you figured it out, though.
She let out a small breath, somewhere between a laugh and a sigh.
I figured something out. I don't know if it's the right version, but it's mine.
The waiter returned to take their orders. His eyes glanced at Jasmine inquisitively, and she shot back with a look that said, None of your business. Jasmine chose something light. Malik didn't even fully process what he picked. His attention kept drifting back to her. The way she spoke, the way she carried herself now. Less noise, more weight.
You know, when I saw you at the cafe and when you hit me up on Instagram to ask me out, I almost didn't come tonight.
Malik raised an eyebrow.
Why not?
She hesitated, fingers tracing the rim of her glass.
Because I didn't know which version of you I was going to get.
He leaned forward slightly.
And which one were you expecting?
The one who'd remind me who I used to be. The one who hated me.
She said quietly. The honesty landed between them without decoration. Malik considered that.
And instead?
She met his eyes.
I got someone who doesn't Someone who looks like he's still deciding.
A faint smile touched his lips, but it didn't fully form.
That version took a while to build.
I can tell.
Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you like the story. Their food arrived, momentarily breaking the intensity. Plates were set down, the aroma rising between them, giving them something else to focus on, even if only briefly. Jasmine picked up her fork, then paused.
Can I ask you something?
You just did.
She rolled her eyes slightly.
You know what I mean.
He gestured for her to go ahead.
Why did you ask me out? Why did you decide to do this? To ask me, after everything?
Malik didn't answer right away. He cut into his food, buying himself a second, not to avoid the question, but to choose the right version of the truth.
Because I was curious.
About what?
If anything actually changed.
She nodded slowly, like she expected that answer.
And?
She pressed. Malik looked at her, really looked this time. Not through memory, not through old expectations. Just her.
It did.
Her shoulders eased, just slightly. But he didn't elaborate, not yet. Jasmine leaned back, studying him again, something more measured in her gaze now.
You're hard to read.
I used to not be.
I know.
A quiet settled over them again, but it wasn't empty. It was layered, past and present sitting side by side, neither fully canceling the other out. From across the room, laughter rang out. A birthday, maybe. A different kind of night for someone else. Jasmine glanced toward the window, then back at him.
You ever think about how different things could have been?
Malik followed her gaze briefly before answering.
Not really.
Not even a little?
I think about how things are. I try to stay in the moment.
She absorbed that, nodding slowly.
That sounds like you.
He smirked faintly.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You should.
They ate, talked, circled around heavier topics without diving too deep. Old memories surfaced. Small ones. Group projects. Inside jokes that somehow still made sense. For a while it felt easy, but underneath it all, something unspoken lingered. Not regret. Not quite closure either. Something in between. As the night stretched on and their plates emptied, Jasmine checked her phone, her expression shifting slightly.
I should get back soon. Babysitter's probably ready to clock out.
Malik nodded.
Of course.
The bill came. He reached for it without hesitation.
Malik,
It's fine.
She didn't argue long, just watched him for a second, then nodded. They stood together, the moment stretching again as they made their way toward the exit. The chandeliers dimmed slightly as the night deepened, casting softer light across the room. Outside, the air was cool, the city quieter now. Jasmine pulled her coat tighter around herself.
thank you for tonight.
You're welcome.
Malik slipped his hands into his pockets. She hesitated again, that same pause from before, like there was always one more thing sitting just behind her words.
I meant what I said earlier about being wrong.
Malik nodded once.
I know.
A car passed, headlights briefly illuminating them before fading into the distance.
So, what now?
Malik looked at her, unreadable for a moment.
We'll see.
Not a promise, not a rejection, just the idea of more to come. Jasmine held his gaze for a second longer, then gave a small, understanding smile.
Yeah,
She said softly.
we will.
And this time, when they went their separate ways, it didn't feel like something unfinished. It felt like something that was paused, had started up again. Thank you guys for listening to part 2 of the He Was the Nerd series. I had a lot of requests to make a second part to the original, so I hope you guys like it a lot. How do you think part 3 should go? Let me know in the comments below. With that, Big O Productions is signing off.